As the world marks the centennial of World War I, it's worth taking a moment to reflect on the realities and strategies of that grueling conflict. A key aspect of the Great War that truly set it apart was the use of trench warfare, a method of fighting that created a horrific mire of mud, disease, and death. Yet, past the mire, there were innovative tactics and serious challenges associated with this style of warfare that shaped the outcomes of battles and the fates of nations. The emergence of trench warfare in World War I. The adoption of trench warfare during World War I was primarily an adaptation to the destructive capabilities of contemporary weaponry. Armies sought refuge from the relentless storm of bullets and shells by burrowing into the earth, forming extensive underground networks of trenches for both offense and defense. This intricate system of trenches, running from the English Channel all the way to the Swiss frontier, offered protection against enemy machine gun fire and artillery bombardment. This dramatic shift in strategy effectively transformed the Western Front into a massive stationary battlefield. Soldiers were entrenched in an unprecedented style of warfare, navigating through mud and blood in a bid to claim victory for their nations. This complex network of trenches, a symbol of the gruesome stalemate, stands as a testament to the extreme measures armies took to survive in the face of modern warfare's destructive power. Anatomy of a World War I trench. A trench from the World War I era was not just a mere cavity in the ground. It was a meticulously constructed maze with various vital elements. The frontline trench, where the soldiers were positioned, was the first defense barrier. The soldiers resided in dugouts along the trench walls. Following this frontline trench, there was a support trench where reserves and supplies were stationed. Even further back were the reserve trenches. Communication trenches interlinked these different levels of trenches, facilitating movement and coordination. Typically, a trench would be about 7 feet deep and 6 feet wide. As fortification was provided by sandbags, wooden planks, and strands of barbed wire. Thus, these trenches were sophisticated structures, reflecting the complex nature of the war they were designed to serve. Before we continue with our adventure, if you're enjoying the video so far, make sure to like, subscribe, and ring the notification bell not to miss future videos every week. Let's get back to the video. Offensive tactics used in trench warfare. Breaking through the enemy lines was the primary objective of offensive tactics in the grueling landscape of trench warfare. Artillery bombardments were deployed with the intention of demolishing enemy trenches and tangled barbed wire prior to launching a direct attack. Following the barrage, the infantrymen were ordered to go over the top, climbing out from the safety of their trenches, braving the treacherous expanse of no man's land, and attempting to seize control of the enemy's trench line. Despite the courage displayed in these assaults, they often resulted in immense casualties owing to the relentless machine gun fire and counter-artillery strikes. Other offensive maneuvers included the deployment of poison gas intended to incapacitate the enemy and the construction of tunnels beneath enemy lines to plant explosives, intended to cause extensive damage and chaos. These tactics were emblematic of the desperate attempts to gain an advantage in the stagnant trench warfare landscape of World War I. Defensive tactics and trench raids. In the context of trench warfare, defensive strategies centered on resisting enemy offenses and maintaining control over the front line. From within their trenches, troops could unleash a barrage of machine gun fire and artillery strikes against advancing enemies. An often employed defensive approach was the trench raid. This involved a small squad of soldiers quietly traversing no man's land under the cover of darkness to infiltrate enemy trenches. Their goals were multifaceted: capture enemy troops for gathering intelligence, disrupt operations, and create general mayhem before safely retreating to their lines. This subterfuge was a tactical method to minimize the risks of open warfare while keeping the enemy off balance. Trench raids, though risky, added a new dimension to the defensive strategies utilized in the tortuous landscape of trench warfare. Living conditions and health challenges in the trenches. In the intricate network of trenches that characterized World War I, soldiers endured grueling conditions that went beyond the terror of enemy gunfire. The environment was far from sanitary, with trenches often waterlogged with rain and made muddy by the constant traffic of soldiers. The stench of decaying bodies and human waste hung heavy in the air, and rats became a common sight. Exposure to such conditions made soldiers susceptible to a host of diseases. A widely prevalent ailment was trench foot, a painful condition resulting from continuously damp feet causing tissue to rot. Body lice were another pervasive issue, which, besides causing irritation, spread trench fever, a debilitating illness marked by severe pain and high fever. Additionally, The ceaseless noise and threat of enemy bombardment, combined with insufficient sleep, poor nutrition, and lack of hygiene, imposed severe stress on soldiers' physical health. These appalling living conditions and health challenges further intensified the hardships faced by soldiers in the trenches during World War I. Psychological impact of trench warfare. The mental toll of trench warfare was as devastating, if not more so, than the physical hardships. The soldiers, constantly living under the shadow of impending attacks and exposed to the brutalities of war, experienced relentless fear and stress. This hostile environment bred a condition commonly referred to as shell shock. Today, we know this condition as post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD, characterized by severe anxiety, recurring nightmares, and emotional unresponsiveness. Soldiers battling PTSD struggled to return to normal life post-war, haunted by their experiences from the trenches. The constant bombardment, the gruesome injuries and deaths, the harsh living conditions, and the overwhelming fear deeply impacted the soldiers' psychological well-being, making the trenches not just a physical but also a mental battlefield. The lingering psychological trauma, long after the guns fell silent, underscores the hidden costs of warfare. Indeed, the mental scars left by trench warfare were as lasting and profound as the physical ones. The legacy of trench warfare. The enduring impact of trench warfare transcends the confines of the World War I battlefield, leaving an indelible mark on the collective consciousness of humanity. These harrowing battlegrounds stood as grim testaments to the immense human suffering and devastation wrought by the advent of modern warfare. Within the intricate network of trenches, humanity confronted the stark reality of the futility of armed conflict, as each muddy trench became a haunting symbol of the futile struggle for territorial gain. The horrors experienced within these claustrophobic confines served as a catalyst for profound reflection, compelling military strategists and leaders to recognize the urgent need for innovation and adaptation in the face of such brutality. The toll exacted on both body and mind by the relentless warfare underscored the imperative of prioritizing the pursuit of peaceful conflict resolutions. Despite the evolution of military tactics and the emergence of new forms of warfare, the haunting specter of trench warfare continues to resonate through the annals of history. Its enduring legacy serves as a poignant reminder of the true cost of war, urging us to never forget the sacrifices made and the lives lost in the pursuit of conflicting agendas. As we navigate the complexities of contemporary global affairs, the lessons gleaned from the trenches compel us to prioritize diplomacy and dialogue over violence and aggression. It is through the lens of these painful memories that we are reminded of the paramount importance of preserving peace and fostering understanding in a world still scarred by the echoes of past conflicts. And there you have it, folks. If you stayed until the end, make sure to comment what you would like to see next on the channel. See y'all in the next video.